Hello and welcome to CA Developers. Today we will going to start a complete course on what are programming languages, their types, and we will start with the basic fundamental of C++. So in this course we will cover a complete introduction about the programming languages, how do we write code, how do we get information from computers, how can computers do, what can computers do, and all that in this course. So before starting that course, don't forget to subscribe our channel and touch the bell icon. So let's get started. What is programming language? A programming language is basically a repository or a vocabulary containing set of grammatical rules or instructions that are given to the computer in order to perform a specific task. And each programming language has different set of rules and instructions that is called syntax. A programmer must follow these syntax in order to write a program or to perform a specific task. There are two main categories of programming languages. First one is high level language and second one is low level language. High level languages are also called natural languages as they are native to human languages, so they are easy to understand by the humans. Some popular high level languages examples are Python, Java, JavaScript, C++, PHP and more. Low level languages are also called machine languages and they are hard to understand. The source code or program written in low level languages are in 0 and 1 form, so it can only be understood by the computer. And some common examples are assembly language and machining language. Another major difference between these two languages are high level languages are not directly understood by the computer hardware as they are native to human languages, so these are difficult for the computer to understand. But low level languages are directly interact with the computer hardware, so these languages are easy to understand by the computer. A programmer or developer writes a program in high level languages and translate it into low level languages in order to interact with the computer hardware. So for this purpose there are many translators that are used to convert high level languages into machine code. For example, compilers, interpreters are used to convert the high level language code into machine code in order to interact with the computer hardware. What is programming syntax? Each programming language contains different type of set of rules and instructions called syntax. A programmer must follow these syntax in order to write a program. These are basically hard and fast rules defined by the programming languages, and programmer must follow these syntax in order to write a program. If some errors and mistakes made in this syntax, program will not be compiled successfully. And there are some levels of programming languages. The first one is source code. When a programmer normally writes a code, it's called source code. The source code is written in high level languages and compiler is used to turn that source code into machine code, and machine code is directly interact with the computer hardware, then show its results. An introduction to C++ programming. C++ is a powerful general purpose programming language. It can be used to develop operating system, browsers, games, and so on. C++ support different types of programming like procedural programming, object-oriented programming, functional programming, and so on. This makes C++ powerful and as well as flexible. C++ was developed as an enhancement of C language to include object-oriented paradigm. It is basically an imperative and a compiled language. C++ is also known as middle level language, rendering it the advantage of programming low level drivers, kernels, and even higher level applications like games, GUIs, desktop apps. The basic syntax of code structure of both C and C++ are the same. C++ is not purely object-oriented. Its features like friend and virtual violate some of the very important OOPS features, rendering this language unworthy of being called completed object-oriented. So it's also known as middle-level language. So for writing a C++ program, we need a compiler and a code editor where our source code will be written by the programmer. So we will need an IDE. IDE is an integrated development environment. Basically, it's a software application that provides a comprehensive facilities to the computer programmers. for the software development. An IDE normally consists of at least a source code editor, build automation tools, and a debugger. There are many IDEs for writing a C++ program like code blocks, Eclipse, DevC++, and Visual Studio. I will recommend Visual Studio developed by Microsoft, that is the most comprehensive IDE used for C++ programming. But in this course, we will use DevC++ as this is a lightweight version. So let's start installing C++ IDE. Now search for DevC++ latest version. Source forget what is the latest version for this one is 6.3. DevC++ 6.3. sourceforget.net softpedia. Just go to softpedia.com. Okay, free download. Softpedia secure. Yeah. So it starts downloading. We will need to wait until it's finished downloading. Okay, the project has download finished now. Now open that file and just run the software. Click yes. Now hold until the process has finished installation. Okay, now select English as default language. Click I agree to the lessons and term, choose compounds, click next, then install. Now hold for the installation until it's finished. Okay, the process has finished the installation. Now click on finished to run the compiler. Now the compiler is ready. Select English as default language, then click next. And then select the theme. I will select Classic Plus, then select next. Okay, now you can see the compiler has opened and it's ready to write the code and to execute the codes. So we will start writing a code in our next section. We will start learning a basic syntax of C++ language. So we are going to start a new project here. Just click on new document, save as. Here save a file name as basic syntax. Just create a new folder here for saving our projects, like my projects. Okay, save that file here, basic syntax. So first of all, I will write a simple program, and then I will explain each and everything about the total syntax of C++ language. So hash include iostream using std man cout hello world. Return 0. So here is the basic syntax of C++ language. As described earlier, each programming language has its own syntax that must be followed in order to write a program. So the first line of the program is hash include iostream. Hash include is basically a keyword defined by the C++ programming and used for including header files in our program. And iostream is a header file library that let us work with the input output in our program. Like cout statement, we have used this cout statement followed by insertion operator, and then a statement of hello world. This iostream library allows us to use this cout statement to print out hello world on our black screen. Then this iostream library is used for cout and cin statements for printing something on the black screen or taking input from the user. We will study further about that in our next sessions. And the second line, using namespace std, means that we can use names for objects and variables from the standard library, like here std, then scope resolution operator, then cout. This std and scope resolution operator has a namespace defined in this library. Okay, if we don't use this library, we must include this in our cout statements. If we declare using std on header file section, then we can skip that section. Many other namespaces are used in our C++ program. As we are moving forward, we will study each and everything. And then a blank space here. These blank spaces are normally ignored by the C++ compiler. They don't include in our program. So these compilers skip these files, these blank spaces, and start execution from main function. And the next one is main function. Anything in the main function curly braces here will be executed in our program. So each program will be executed from its main function. This is the main function, our program body, where the execution of the program starts. It must be included in our program. So in the next line, cout is an object used together with the insertion operator in order to print the statements on the black screen. And each statement in the C++ program will be ended by the semicolon here. And then return 0. Return 0 is used to end the main function here. And don't forget to put the curly braces and it will actually end the program execution. And main function can be written as in one line like that. The compiler ignore white spaces, however multiple lines makes the code more reliable, so we put the spaces here like that. And these are also called preprocessor directives, and this is the program body. This is the two main parts of the C++ programming language. If we skip anything like semicolon, curly braces, or main function parentheses or something else, the program will not execute it and compile. Don't be worried about these header files if you don't understand how hash include iostream and using std actually work. You just need to remember these are the things that always will be included in our program. So now we will move to the output of this program. You just need to click on execute, compile and run. Here you will see a hello world program is written. So now we are going to print another cout statement here. Cout like I am learning C++ language. So now it will print two lines. Here you can see that, but it does not hello world I am learning C++ language, but it does not insert a new line here. So for inserting a new line we will put a /n here. This is basically used to insert a new line between the two statements. This is also called escape sequences. There are many escape sequences used in our C++ program. Like if we want to shift this statement, like I am learning C++ language, in our next tab here, so we will put here /t. You can see that this will, no sorry, there's a mistake here. I think I have put wrong slash. Now you can check, it will move to the next step. Sorry, still not working. Let me check again. Okay. So yeah, I have put /n. I think it's /t. Now you can see that it has been shifted to the next step. These are also called escape sequences. There are many other escape sequences used in C++ language. We will study further. You can also use a keyword name indel in order to put a space between these two statements like that. So you just understand how cout statements are worked. You can put anything in these inverted commas to print this statement in our black screen. So this is the basic of C++ programming. We will study more topics in our next sessions. So in this section we will study C++ comments. What are comments and how they works. Comments can be used to explain C++ program and to make the program more reliable. Like I'm going to explain here, these are the comments, / and I will explain cout with insertion operator is used for printing text on the black screen. This is used to explain the code or something else. It can be single-lined or multi-lined. Comments can be used to prevent the execution of the codes while testing any other code. Like I don't want to execute this statement, I will put double slash in the start of this statement, and the compiler will ignore this statement and just print I am learning C++ language. So this is single line comment. We will study multi-line comment as well. Multi-line comments is used for commenting many other statements in the program. Like it starts with slash static and ends with static slash. Inside between these two static, everything will be written, will be comment and ignored by the compiler. Like I want to ignore the whole program, just remove these statements, comments, and put here. The compiler will ignore all these statements here. This is basically a comments here. Sorry, static slash here. The compiler will ignore all these statements. This is multi-line comment. So the comments are used in every programming language to make the code more reliable, or to understand the program statements or something else, or testing some other codes in our programming language and skipping the statements of other. So in this section we will study what are variables. So just create a new file, save as variables. Just put the basic syntax of C++ here. Study man return 0. So what are variables? So the variables are the constants used for storing data values, and variables have its own syntax. Like first of all we will define the type of the variables, then variable name, then its value. This is the variable initialization syntax. So in C++ language there are many types of variables. We will study all that in this section. First of all we will study int. Int type of variable store integer data values, like such as 1 2 3 minus 1 2 3, like that. Like we will initialize here int x equal to 20. This is int type variable. The int type store the integer values without decimals. If we put something here, but the type int will only include 12 here, not dot 45. The next one is double y equal to 19.99. It will store the floating point numbers with decimals, like I have put 19.99. And the next one is character type. Character x equal to b, capital B. It stores single characters such as a or b. Character values are surrounded by the single quotes in C++ language. And the next one is string. String s equal to like hello world. It will store the whole statements in our C++ program. We must include #include string in our program in order to use the string in C++ program. And the next one is bool. bool my plan equal to true. Bool stores values with two states, true or false statements. It will only be used for generating true or false conditions. So now we are going to implement these variables in our C++ program. So the first one is int type int x. This is called the variable declaration, and this is called int y equal to 23. This is called the variable initialization, as it stored the value of 23. This is called initialization, and this is called variable declaration. So if you want to add these variables, like put some values here, int we will include a new variable of sum type, name sum equal to x plus y. This operator, we have put plus operator between these two variables for adding these integers. This will add x plus y and store in this variable, sum variable. So we will print sum of two variable is, we will put sum here, sum variable here. Now it will generate the sum of these two variables. See out, there is a syntax error here. You can see that it will generate the sum of these variables. You can add minus for subtraction, asterisk for multiplication, and division for dividing these two variables. This is basically operators concept, but we will read it further in the next sections. So just understand the variables working. So the next one is double type of variable, double x equal to 33.56, double y equal to something like that. Now we are going to add these two variables, int add equal to x plus y. See out, addition of double type variable is add. Now it will generate the sum of these two variables. This is the sum of these two variables. And the next one is character type. Character x equal to capital A. So we are going to add, or we are going to print this character. Just see out x here, it will print out capital A on the black screen. So this is the basics of working with variable. And so you can declare a multiple variables in single line, like int x equal to 20, y equal to 30, and z equal to 50. And you can add them in directly cout statement, like x plus y plus z. It will generate the sum of these three variables. Always put comma between these variables. Here it will generate the sum of these three variables. You can perform multiple things using these variables. So this is the basics of variables and how they works. So we will move forward in our next chapters for the further sections. So in this section we will study what are C++ identifiers. So C++ variables must be identified with the unique names in the program. These unique names are called identifiers. These identifiers can be a short name like X, Y, or more descriptive names like int, sum, age, etc. I will recommend to use descriptive names in the program to create a more understandable and maintainable code. So here are some general rules for constructing names for variables. We will study one by one. The names can contain letters, digits, and underscores, like int x, this is letters, and int 24, this is digits, and int underscore something like er or f, this is basically a variable declaration. This is a good example for using letters, digits, and underscores. So not semicolon here. So the next one is names must be begin with the letter or underscore. So int like age, you can put an underscore. This is the valid example of using underscore in our C++ program in variables. And the next one is names are case sensitive. In that case, int my variable equal to 45 and int my var. These are different variables as these are case sensitive. My var and var are different variables. My var and my var. And next one is these names cannot contain white spaces like just I am using age. I cannot use variable in this type. This is a wrong example. So white spaces cannot be used in variables or special characters. And the last one are reserved word like string, int, character. These are the reserved word, and these words cannot be used as names in our C++ program. So this is the basics of identifiers in C++. In this section we will study what are constants in C++. Constants are used when you don't want to override existing variable values. Then use this keyword constant. This will declare the variable as constant, which means that it's unchangeable and read-only. Here is a simple example of constant. Constant int my number equal to 15. Number will always 50. It cannot be changed. If I will put my number equal to 10, then this will be an error assignment of read-only variable my num. So this constant can be a integer type, character type, or any other data types like double, float, etc. So here are other examples of constants. You can print them in our black screen as well. So this is the basic of constants in C++. If you have any question in any topic of C++ programming, you can ask a question in our comment section below. In this section we will study user inputs in our C++ program. Just create a new file here, save that file as user inputs. Just use the basic syntax of C++ programming here. As you already know that COT is used to print the statements in our program, and now we will use cin for taking inputs from the user. cin is basically a predefined variable that reads data from keyboard with the extraction operator. Like we will study an example to understand how cin works. Like we are declaring a variable of type int x cout, enter a number, then cin with the extraction operator, then x. It will take a value from the user. Now we will print that value in the next statement. You entered insertion operator, then x. This is the basic example of taking an input from the user. This is a cout statement that will print enter a number, then cin x, cin followed by the extraction operator, then x. It will take an input from the user. Then in the next statement of cout you entered x, this will generate what will be the entered in the program. Let's try. Enter a number. I will put 50 here, then you entered 50. This is the basic example of taking input from the user. So now we will use these cout and cin statements for creating a simple calculator like int x, y, and then z. Take three variables here, and then cout, enter first number, then cin x, then copy that statements, enter second number in y, take second value in y, then z equal to x plus y, cout sum of two values is z. Now this program will take two values from the user and display the sum of these two variables. Like first value is 20, second one is 30, then it will print the sum 50. So this is the basics of calculator programming. Now you are able to take values from the user and you can add them, subtract them, divide them, or multiply them. So this is the basics of calculators in C++ programming. For division you will put a division sign here. For multiplication you will put multiply sign here, and that's it. So in this chapter we will study a basic data types in C++ programming. As explained in variables chapter, a variable in C++ language must be specified data type. The data type specified the size and type of information the variable will store. The int type of variable will store 4 bytes of size in memory that store whole numbers without decimals, and float will store 4 bytes of memory as well, storing fractional numbers containing 1 or 2 more decimals. It's sufficient for 7 decimal digits. And double will store 8 bytes of data, stores fractional numbers containing 1 or more decimals, sufficient for 15 decimal digits. And boolean will store 1 byte for true or false values, and character will also store 1 byte, storing a single character letter number or ASCII values. So in this tutorial we will start learning about operators in C++. So just create a new project, name operators in C++. So operators in C++. Basically operators are the symbols that perform operations on variables and values. For example, plus is an operator used for addition, while minus is an operator used for subtraction. In this tutorial we will learn about the different types of variables. So in this tutorial we will learn about the different types of operators in C++ with the help of examples. Here are 5 types of operators used in C++ language. The first one is arithmetic operators. Arithmetic operators are used to perform a basic arithmetic operations on variables and values like int a plus b or int a minus b or a steric b or a divided by b. These are the basic arithmetic operators used in C++ language. And C++ also provides the increment and decrement operators like plus plus and negative minus minus respectively. The plus plus sign increases the value of operand by 1, like in example int num equal to 5. When we write plus plus num, it will be 6. So it increments the operand by 1. And for negative, if we put minus minus num, it will decrease the value by 1. It will be 4. So these are the increment and decrement operators used in C++ language. So here is an examples of implementing arithmetic operations in C++ language. Just comment that section, and I have just pasted a simple code of adding, dividing, multiplication and all these operations. This is in common examples. Here is a addition operator, then subtraction operator, then steric operator, then division, and then module operator. You can execute that code here for all these operations. Here you can see the result. We have a variable a equal to 7 and b equal to 2. If we add, when we perform addition, a plus b, 7 plus 2 equal to 9, a minus b, 7 minus 2 equal to 5, so on. So these are the basic arithmetic operators used in C++ language. Now we are going to the next one. So the next one is assignment operators. Assignment operators are basically used to assign a value to a variable. For example, int x equal to 20. Here equal to sign is used as an assignment operators. This is a common example of assignment operators. And the next one is relational operators. Basically relational operators is an operator used for checking the relationship between two operands. For example, int a equal to 20, int b equal to 30. So relation operators check the relationship in order a less than b. Okay, this is the common example of relational operators, or a greater than b. These are the relation operators for checking a is greater than or less than b. So here is in common examples of implementing relational operators. We have two variables, a equal to 3 and b equal to 5, and one bool variable a result. It will be true or false, means that it will show if the result is true, then it will generate 1, and if the result is false, then it will generate 0. So the first relational we have used is a equal to b. Then see out if 3 equal to 5 is the result, it will be a false, means that it will show 0 result. The next one is a not equal to b, 3 not equal to 5. This is true as 3 is not equal to 5, so result will be true. So the next result, result a greater than b, it will be false as a is 3 and b is 5, so it will be false. A less than b means that 3 less than 5 is true. And the next one is a greater than equal to b, it will be false as a is not greater than 5, greater than or equal to 5. And the next one is a less than equal to b, so 3 is less than equal to 5 is true. So we can execute that code here to check all the values are perfect. So we are moving forward, and the next one is logical operators. Logical operators are used to check whether an expression is true or false. If the expression is true, it returns 1, whereas if the expression is false, it returns 0. There are 3 types of logical expressions. The first one is and the second one is or, and the last one is not. These are the 3 logical operators. We are going to implement these operators in a simple program and try to understand all that. And the next one is logical operators. Logical operators are used to check whether an expression is true or false. If the expression is true, it returns 1, whereas if the expression is false, it returns 0. There are 3 types of logical operator. The first one is AND operator, the second one is OR operators, and the last one is NOT operators. Suppose in example a equal to suppose a equal to 5, b equal to 8, then a greater than 3 and b greater than 5 evaluates to true. It will be true condition as a is 5 and 5 is greater than 3, okay, and b is greater than 5, b is 8 and it's greater than 5, so it will be true condition. And the next one is a greater than 3 as this is true, and b less than 5, so it will be false as b is not less than 5, b is 8. And the next one is a greater than 3 or b greater than 5. It will be true as a is greater than 3 and b is greater than 5, and so on. So these are the basically logical operators. We can implement these in our C++ program as well. It's pretty simple. These are used in if-else conditions. We will study further what are if-else statements, all that. And the last one is bitwise operators. So in C++, bitwise operators are used to perform operations on individual bits. They can only be used alongside character and in data type. And here are the symbols for these operators: AND, OR, XOR, ones complement, binary shift left and binary shift right. So in C++, bitwise operators perform operations on integral data at the individual bits level. These operations include testing, setting or shifting the actual bit. For example, A and B, A or B. So now we will move into the deep bitwise AND operator. So C++ bitwise AND operator. The bitwise AND operator returns 1 if and only if both the operands are 1. Otherwise, it returns 0. For example, here in this example, if A equal to 0, B equal to 0, A and B operator will perform here, then result will be 0. As in the definition, if and only if A and B equal to 1, it will generate 1. Okay, so if 0 and 1, it will be 0. 1 and 0, it will be 0. As 1 and 1, it will be 1. So this is the common example of bitwise operator, bitwise AND operator. So let's take a deep look into bitwise AND operators here. Bitwise OR operator. So bitwise OR operator return 1 if at least one of the operand is 1, otherwise it returns 0. The following truth table demonstrate the working of the bitwise operator. Let's see the table here. If A is 0, B is 0, A or B is 0. If A is 0, B is 1, it will be 1. If A is 1, B is 0, then it will be 1. If two variables are 1, it will be 1. So this is the bitwise OR operator. And the next one is XOR operator. The bitwise XOR operator in C++ returns 1 if and only if one of the operand is 1. However, if both the operands are 0 or both are 1, then the result is 0. Let's check this. If A is 0, B is 0, and bitwise XOR operator is performed, it will be 0. As per condition, if both are 1, it will be 0, and if both are 0, the result will be 0. So if 0 and 1 equal to 1, 1 and 0 equal to 1, and 1 and 1 equal to 0. So this is the bitwise XOR operators. And the next one is binary ones complement operator. The bitwise complement operator is a unary operator, works on only one operand. It is denoted by tilde that change binary digit into 1 into 0 and 0 into 1. Let's check example here. If the value is 1, then we perform this operation. This is called tilde. We will perform this operator, it will be 0. And if we perform to 0, it will be 1. This is a common example of complement operators in C++. And the next one is right shift operators. A right shift operator shift all the bits toward the right by a certain number of specified bits, and it is denoted by extraction sign. As we can see from the above image, we have a 4-bit number 0011. When we perform a 1-bit write, like we are performing 0-bit replacement here, on each individual bit is shifted to the right by 1. As a result, the rightmost bit is discarded while the leftmost bit remains the vacant. The vacancy is replaced by 0. We have 0011, a 4-bit number. When we replace a bit by 0, right shift operator, we have performed replacement bit of 0, then the last digit of 1 will be discarded and 0 will be shifted in the left side. So this is a common example of C++ right shift operator. And the next one is C++ left shift operator. Left shift operator shifts all the bits toward the left by a certain number of specified bits. It is denoted by insertion operators. As we can see in the above image, we have 4-bit number. When we perform 1-bit left shift here, each individual bit is shifted to the left by 1 bit. You can see that we have 1010. When we shift 1 here, 1 bit here, replacement bit is 0, and it will be shifted here. The last one is discarded and 0 is added to this vacancy. So this is the common example of left shift operator. In this section we will start learning about strings in C++. So just create a new document here, save as strings. So a string is a variable contain a collection of characters surrounded by double quotes. So to use the strings in C++, we must include an additional header file hash include string for using string in C++ programs. So we are going to implement this string in our C++ program. We have just pasted a code of simple syntax in C++. I have string for using strings and namespace std and main function here. Then we have initialized a string here, string name greeting equal to hello. So we have cout this greeting and it will generate or cout hello word on the screen. Just check it. This is a common example of strings in C++. You can add a sentence here like I am learning C++. So it will print this whole string on the screen. So this is the basic example of strings in C++. So now we are going to learn about strings concatenation. What are string concatenations? So we will show you an example for learning this, like string first name equal to John, string last name equal to John Doe. So we will see out, we will initialize a new string full name equal to first name concatenation then last name. So cout here is full name. So this is called the first name is John, the last name is Doe, and we have concatenate these two variables in full name variable and just cout full name. So it will generate a full name here. Here is full name John Doe. So this is the basic of concatenation in C++ language. So if you want to add some space between first name and last name, you will put another concatenation, then double quotes, then space, then now execute that file and it will generate a space between John and Doe. You can also perform this concatenation by using append function. In this example, like first name dot append is a basically function used for concatenation of strings last name. So it will also perform the concatenation here. So it's up to you whether you want to use plus or append function. The major difference between these two is that the append function is much faster. However, for testing and such, it might be easier to just use plus sign. So we are going to move on strings plus numbers, string concatenation plus numbers addition. When we add two numbers like int x plus y, it's an addition. When we perform this on string x equal to like something here, something, then string y equal to anything, then perform string x plus y for string numbers like string z equal to this. For integer types this will be addition, but for string this will be concatenation. This is the basic concept between concatenation and addition. So now we will move to the string length. If you want to count the string length, for example string For example, string text equal to abcd to z, we will use a length function for counting how many strings are there. So text.length function is used for counting string length. Just execute that code here. So it will generate the total numbers of strings including in double quotes. You can also use size function here for counting these strings. Just execute that, it will also generate a length of the string here. So this is called the string length. It's up to you, you can use the length function or size function here. Now we will move to the next string topic, accessing strings. Accessing strings. You can access the characters in a string by referring to its index number inside the square brackets here. So when we will put my string 0, it will display a h character on the screen. Just compile that and you will see here h is displayed. Then if we put 1 in square brackets, it will output e on the screen. So you can access the each character from the string by using my string square brackets then the character number. Now we will move to the user input strings. User input strings in C++. So here is in basic examples of string, like we just initialize a variable name, full name, and cout type your full name, and we often use getLine function for the strings to take inputs from the user. If you want to take a string from the user, you will use getLine then cin full name. This is function used for taking strings from the user. So just execute that code. Full name, my full name is John. So your name is John, right? So this is getLine function is used for taking inputs from the taking strings as an input from the user. So that's the end of the strings and it's all the functions. So now we will move to the next functions or concepts on C++. It's C++ maths function in C++. So just save as maths. So C++ has many functions that allows us to perform mathematical tasks on numbers, like max and min functions. For example, we have two variables there. First one is int x equal to 5 and y equal to 8. We will put max xy. This will print the maximum number from the given inputs. So now we will implement here in our program. Here we have directly embed two variables for min and max. So execute that code here. You will find the minimum number from the given inputs, like 5. If we put max here, it will display 10, as this is the maximum number from the given inputs. Here 10. So there are many other functions we can perform in the C++, but we need to include this header file on the top of the header file section area to use the square root function and round function, then natural logarithm function. So first of all, we will include this library here. Then we can use square root function, round function, and log functions. So we will put /n for the new line. Let's print everything on one line. So now you can see that the square root of 64 is 8 and round 2.6 is 3 and log 2 is 0.693147. So these are functions are embedded in C++ language, and we can use by including C math header file library. So here is a list of other math functions used in C++. These all the functions are embedded in C math library, and we can use that in our programs. Here is the length of these functions. Now we will move to the next chapters of C++ Booleans. Booleans in C++. So in programming we often need a data type that can only have one or two values, like yes, no, on, off, true or false. For this, C++ has a bool data type which can take the values either true or false. For example, we have two variables of bool type here, like bool is coding fun, it's true. Bool is fish tasty, it's false. So we will see out is coding fun, then is fish tasty. So it will print these two variables, either true or false. So the first one is coding fun, it's true, then it will print 1. If it's false, then it will print 0. This is C++ Booleans. So now we will move to the Boolean expressions. So a Boolean expression is a C++ expression that returns a Boolean value. It's either 1 or 0. You can use a comparison operator such as greater than operator to find out if an expression is true or false. Let's dig into this example. Int x equal to 10, int y equal to 9, see out x greater than y. It's return 1 true because 10 is higher than 9. This is in common Boolean expression examples in C++. So now we will move to the next chapter. Create a new document here, save as conditions. So conditions in C++. So C++ usually supports logical condition from mathematics. So these are a less than b, a equal to a less than equal to b, a greater than b, a greater than equal to b, a equal to b, and a is not equal to b. So you can use this condition to perform different actions for the different decisions. So C++ also having the following conditional statements. Use if to specify a block of code to be executed if a specified condition is true. Use else to specify a block of code to be executed if the same condition is false. Use else if to specify a new condition to test if the first condition is false. Use switch to specify many alternative blocks of code to be executed. Now we're going to implement these conditional statements one by one. The first one is if statement. We often used if statement to specify a block of C++ code to be executed if the condition is true. For example, if condition x greater than y is true, then this block of code will be executed. The most common example of if statement in C++ is 20 greater than 18, see out 20 is greater than 18. if 20 is greater than 18, this condition will be executed. You can also understand this statement by using variables like int x equal to 20, y equal to 80, x greater than y, then this statement will be executed here. So this is an example of if statement. So we are going to implement this statement in our programs. Just comment this section. We have two variables x and y, and we have put a condition if x greater than y, then this will be executed. You can see x is greater than y, as x is 20 and y is 18, so condition is true, then this statement is executed. And if this condition is false, for example, I will put if x less than y, then we will use else statement and print y is greater than x. So else is used to specify a block of code to be executed if the first condition is false. As we have x equal to 20 and y equal to 18, so x is greater than 18, not less than, so this condition will be false and else part of the program will be executed. So you can check that here, y is greater than x. So this is else statement. Now we are going to use else if statement to specify a new condition to test if the first condition is false. Here is an example of else if statement. Here we have int time equal to 22. If time is less than 10, see out good morning. You can see that this condition is false. We have 22, time equal to 22 and time less than 10. So time is greater than 20, it's 22, so this condition will be false. Then else if time less than 20, this condition is also false, as time is greater than 20, so this will not be executed. Else good evening, this will be executed as these two conditions are going wrong. So just execute that code here and it will generate print good evening, as the first two conditions are false. When we have more than one or two conditions, then we will use else if statement. So now we are going to write a program using if else statements that takes input as an integer from the user and compare them which is greater or less than. So just remove that. Declare two variables of type int x y, cout, enter value for x, in x, sorry, cout. Then enter value for y, then we will use if statement. If x is greater than y, it will print cout x is greater than y. For example, we will put x 20 and y 10, then this condition will be true. For example, x equal to 20 and y equal to 10. So 20 is greater than 10. So this condition is true and it prints this statement. This statement is executed. So if we put x 10 and y 20, then this condition will be false. In this case we will use else statement. Then we will print cout y is greater than x. For example, x is 20, y is 40, so 40 is greater than 20. So this is the basics of if-else statements in C++. So now we will move to the next one, that is shorthand if-else statement. There is also a shorthand if-else which is known as ternary operators because it consists of 3 operands. It can be used to replace multiple lines of code with a single line. It is often used to replace simple if-else statements. Here is the syntax of shorthand if-else statement. So instead of writing this code for if-else statements, we can simply write this code. The same results will be happened by using shorthand if-else statement. Here is the syntax. First of all, it will be a variable of type. We have declared a string type variable name result equal to time less than 18, then it will print good day. If not, then it will be good evening here. So this is called the shorthand if-else statement. So in this tutorial we are going to implement our C++ switch statements. So just create a new document, save as switch, save. So switch statements is used when we have multiple conditions and we need to perform different actions based on these conditions. We have multiple conditions and we need to execute a block of statements when a particular condition is satisfied. In such case, either we can use a lengthy if-else if statement or switch case. The problem with the lengthy if-else if statement is that it becomes more complex when we have several conditions. The switch case is a clean and efficient method of handling such scenarios. So here is the basic syntax of switch statement. First of all, we will type a switch, then parenthesis, then expression, then curly braces, then case. This expression or variable will be matched with the cases, then executed. If this case matched here, this code block of code will be executed. If not matched this case here in first case, then it will break the statement and execute and check the next case. If this matched, then this code will be executed. Then default. The default case is when the given variable or expression is not matched with any case in the switch statement, then this block of code will be executed. So now we are moving into a simple switch statement program. Then we will try to understand it again. So here is the basic C++ syntax, then a switch statement here. Starting from here, the keyword switch, then a variable day as an expression, and then a case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4, case 5, case 6, and case 7. For the weekend we are taking this switch statement. So the variable here we will put for example a day equal to 6. When we put this variable in this expression switch case, then it will check whether it's case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4, and case 5, all the cases, and then when this condition will satisfy, for example day equal to 6, here day equal to 6, this block of code will be executed. So for example we are going to execute this code here. You can see this will print a Saturday case 6. If we are putting for example case 3, then it will print Wednesday here. You can see that we can take this variable from the user. For just declare a variable here, then cout enter a day number, then cin day, then execute it. Now we can change the variable, then it will print a Sunday for 7 case. And if we put 8 or the other variable that will not match the case, then it will break the statement like this. So this is our default case. We are going to manage this default case. So cout invalid argument given. So this is a complete switch statement in C++. When we put something else that is not in the cases, like this one, the invalid argument given. So now we are going to implement a simple calculator application in this switch statement. So just create a new file here for implementing calculator. For file and save as calculator. And just write the basic syntax of C++. String. So we'll be using name, yesterday, int man, return 0. So now we will need 3 variables for implementing calculators. 2 variables are for taking values or numbers from the user, and 1 variable for taking operators from the user. So these 2 variables will be of like float type, x and y. So and the next one is for character variable for taking operations, your operators from the user, like C or OP. So switch operator. First of all, and this is the syntax. First of all, we need to take operator from the user, cout enter operator, for example plus, minus, plus, minus, multiplication and division. Interpreters from these. Okay, then cin op, then cin cout enter 2 numbers, cin x, then cin y. We are taking in one cin statement. So when we will put operator here, then we will create a 4 case for arithmetic operations. The first one is case plus for addition, then colon, then we will type here cout statement, cout, like the user will enter first x, then plus, then y, then equal to the result x plus y.
then break this statement. This is the first case we had written for addition. Now copy this case, paste here for subtraction. Just change the operators in this case and copy this again for multiplication. It's pretty easy. Type static, then the last one is for division. And then now default case, if the someone is entered invalid operators and the program will be terminated, like default cout invalid arguments are given. So that's it. So now run that program. First of all, we will need to operator. For example, we are going to perform an addition plus sign into plus sign, then into two operands. First one is 23 and the second one is 45. Then 23 plus 45 is 68. And now we are going to perform a second operation, like minus 45 minus 12, then 33, and then next one is multiplication case, 23 static 45, like no, we are giving invalid arguments here, so just 23 not 23 static and 34 or something like that, then it will multiply them. And the last one is division case, so here 12 divided by 6, then it's 2. That's the pretty simple. If you want to change this statement like calculator, you need to take all these variables in, just remove cout statements from here, then C in here the first variable, then operator op, then y. Now it will take a variables like calculator, for example 12 plus 12 equal to 24. So this is a basic calculator application in switch statements. In this chapter we are going to study loops in C++. So loops are commonly used in programming when we need to repeatedly execute a block of statements. For example, suppose we want to print a hello world. This can be done as shown below. We need to write cout statement 10 times, but when we used loops, a single statement will perform this action. So the statement needs to be written only once and the loop will be executed 10 times. So in computer programming, a loop is a sequence of instructions that is repeated until a certain condition is reached. There are mainly two types of loops, entry controlled and exit controls. Entry control loops are for loop and while loop, and exit control loop is do while. So for loop and while loop are entry control loops, so the condition expression is tested at the start of the body, and in exit control loop test condition is written at the end of the loop body. Study for loop, so basic syntax of for loop is here. We will type a keyword named for, then parenthesis, then initialization expression. It has three types basically, three parts basically: initialization expression, then text expression, then increment or decrement. It's increment or decrement. So so if we want to print us hello world program 10 times, or hello world statement 10 times, we will write this loop for that. For example, hash include string space std int man. So for int I equal to 1, it will start from 1, as we are printing from 1 to 10. So here semicolon here, then I less than equal to 10. Okay, then I plus plus, then start the loop body, cout hello world, and for new line. So that's it, and just execute that code. Hash include syntax error basically here you can see 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10. Basically it start initialization from 1, then I less than or equal to 10. So it will, the loop will continue run until this condition reached, then increment will be done. So it will print 1 to 10. For loop is commonly used in such a type of case when we know how many times this block of code will be executed. Like we know we need to print this loop 10 times, so we put a 10 here. But in do while loop case, these two loops are used when we don't know the how many times the code will be executed. And the next one is while loop. The while loop executes a block of code as long as the specified condition is reached. Here is the basic syntax of while loop. The keyword while, then parenthesis, then curly braces. So until this condition is reached, this block of code will be executed. For example, we have a variable of type int I equal to 0. We are performing a while loop on that. We have type I less than 5. Until I less than 5, cout I, then take the increment on that. So it will print from 0 to 5. The loop will run from 0 to 5. Sorry, that was previous one. Here you can see that 0 to 4, as I is less than 5, so it will run 0 to 4. This is the while loop example. So in this example you can see that the code in the loop will run over and over again as long as the variable I is less than 5. So this is the end of while loop. So now we are going to study exit controlled loop, that is do while loop. The do while loop is basically a variant of the while loop. This loop will execute the code block once before checking if the condition is true. Then it will repeat the loop as long as the condition is true. Here is the basic syntax of do while loop. So the keyword do, then parenthesis, then while, then text expression. So do this code until this condition reached. This is the basic syntax of do while loop. So now we are going to implement a program on do while loop. So here is the basic program in do while loop. For example, we have the same program that is used for while loop. I equal to 0, do cout print I and increment in that until this I less than 5. So it will be from 0 to 5. You can see that this is the basic examples of for loop, while loop and do while loop. So now we are going to create a program that will take input or number from the user and print the table for that. So just exit that by using for loop. So just we need 3 variables for that of type int x, int n, c, r. So just take a value from the user, enter a number, then c in n. Now here for int c equal to 1, as the table will start from 1, then c less than equal to 20. So you can understand easily. So less than equal to 20, then increment in that. So this loop will run from 1 to 20, and we are going to multiply this loop with the number that will be entered by the user. So and we will store it in result variable or equal to n steric c. So n is the number that will be entered by the user, then it will be multiplied by this loop 1 to 20. So now we are going to generate a cout statement here. Cout, first of all we will print the number that will be entered by the user, then steric, like that, then c, that is the loop variable, c, then equal to r, the result. Just execute that statement here, enter a number, we will enter 3, so it will print a table of 3. Just we need to make one thing, indel for new line, so it will display a better result here. So just print a 3 here. Now you can see that it will print a table of 3 until the loop will read 20. So this is the table in loops. Now we will move into the next chapter, break and continue statements in C++. Break and continue statements. So break statements, as we have already seen, the break statement used in earlier chapter of this tutorial, it was used to jump out of switch statement, and the break statement can also be jump out of the loop as well. For example, here is a basic example of break statement. Here we have a loop running less than 10 and then increment if I equal to 4. This will break the statement. It will run the loop from 0 to 3. Just execute that code and you will see that it will run from 0 to 3, as we have put a condition as a break statement. If I equal to 4, then break this condition, so it will run this loop from 0 to 3. This is a C++ break statement. And the continue statement breaks one iteration in the loop if a specified condition occurs and continues with the next iteration in a loop. For example, when we put a continue here, continue, then it will skip the I equal to 4. It will skip the 4 and run from 0 to 10. Here you can see that it has skipped the 4, 1 0 1 2 3, and its 4 has been skipped, and 5 6 7 8 9. So this is continuous statement. So in the next chapter we are going to study arrays. Let's create a new document here, save as arrays in C++. So arrays in C++. So arrays are used to store multiple values in a single variable instead of declaring a separate variables for each value. So to declare an array, define the variable type, then specify the name of the array followed by square brackets, and specify the number of elements it should store. For example, I am going to declare a string type array here, a string named array named cars, type of string, then value 4. This is basically a declaration of array, and here is an initialization to this array. So we can understand better from this example. This is basically an array of type string having 4 values: Vol, BMW, Ford, and Mazda. You can access the elements of this array by using cars, then square brackets, then 0 for the first value. By default, this one have the default value 0, this one has 1, this one has 3, and this one has 4. So we are going to implement example so we can understand better. So here is the basic program of arrays in C++. So this is going to print a vol on the screen, as we are accessing the elements of the array from 0. This one has default value 0, so it will print this one. We can access BMW by using 1 instead of 0. And we can initialize multi-dimensional arrays in C++ as well. For example, this is the syntax of 2-dimensional array, and this is the syntax of 3-dimensional array, and the data in multi-dimensional arrays are stored in tabular form. So first of all, we are going to write a program for 2-dimensional arrays and try to understand in a program. So here is the 2-dimensional array where the first one is declared as rows and second one is columns. So this array contains 3 rows and 2 columns. So we need to implement the loops, 2 loops for these 2 arrays to access the elements of these arrays. So in the first loop we are starting for loop int I equal to 0, as the default value for the element for first index of the array is 0. So we are starting from 0. Then I less than 3, and then I plus increment in that. So for the second one, int j equal to 0, j less than 2, then j plus plus. So we are printing the values for first row, then we are printing for the second row. Okay, then the loop will execute it and print all the values of a 2-dimensional array. You can see that. So there is a syntax error, I think. Yeah, here you can see that from 0 to 5, 0 1 2 3 4 5. So data is stored in tabular form. You can see that. This is the example of 2D array. So now we are going to implement 3D array. It's the same as the 2D arrays, but we will need to implement 3 loops for that. Here I just pasting the code for 3-dimensional array. You can see that the first one is for 2 rows, then 3, then 2. So we are going to implement 3 loops for these arrays, and you execute the code now. It will print all the values in arrays, so from 0 to 11. So basically data is stored in tabular form in two-dimensional and three-dimensional array. You can see that the first one is 0 0 0, then 0 0 1, then 0 1 0, and all these, this is a tabular form. So this is the end of arrays in C++ language.